Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Zanotti, and this is eBizChat, where it's all about business. I am joined today by Dr. Susan Nash, good friend and co-host. Susan, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. Glad to be here. It's a nice, cool spring day today.
Oh, we were weird. It's, we're up in Boise now at 31 degrees this morning. 31. It's supposed to be 63 in the afternoon, but 31. It's just, we're in spring. No, not quite. Anyway, it's fun. Well, we've got a great guest today. We've got Jackie Lyles. She's been with us before on a different show, I think. I think it was Life Edge originally. But she'll be joining us. She always does some interesting things. And here we go. This show is sponsored by Talking Vids, corporate video, e-learning, enterprise-wide development, online interviews, multimedia development, and more. Visit us at www.talkingvids.com. And we are back, and joining us, we've got Jackie Lyles with us. Jackie, how are you today?
Great, thank you.
Oh, thank you for joining us. For those who don't know who you are or are new to this particular channel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm a Texan. We always say that, in Texas. You have to forgive us. We love our state, and I actually am a seventh generation Texan.
Oh,
so
wow.
We've been here a long time. Yeah, and I'm a strategic innovation advisor, and what that means is we focus on where emerging energy meets new technology, and we do a lot of public and private collaborations and community partnerships. And you can't be in Houston without really understanding the importance of the energy world. So it's changing, and we're glad to be a part of it.
So you primarily work a lot in the energy field.
Yes, that's right.
That's great. So how do you see the field doing right now? It kind of has its ups and downs. That one day it's great, next day it's bad, then it's great. Sounds like we're kind of in between somewhere right now.
We are in the great middle, or muddle, as some people would say. We're changing. It's all changing. And the changes are happening in the electric supply side. You're seeing emerging technology with new battery technology coming out, and that's making a big difference in sustainable energy. We just are working on a project in West Texas in new technology, and we're seeing that that's really important to people, because when you think about energy, you don't always think about electricity and how important that is. And so we're looking at that, and we're also looking at the changes that are happening with the people. So you're seeing people leave the industry or really planning to leave, and you're seeing people getting into the industry, but they're entering around green hydrogen, new technology. The changes that have been happening in public policy and all of the new opportunities that are coming out, we're participating in very large, full state changes in the energy sources. So that's been a fun adventure.
It's so important. I think one of the things that strikes me is the fact that with all the new AI applications and new server farms, et cetera, meeting those needs, that the demand for electricity has just skyrocketed. And yet there are just limited ways to get electricity. It's improving. And so I think that the struggle is how to get efficient and cost-effective electricity.
You're exactly right, Susan. And we can't choose just one source. We have to choose all sources. And that's a challenge, right? A lot of people would say, oh, I just want to get an electric car. My home's going to be all electric. I'm going to make all these changes. Well, the truth is our grid system is not ready for that. And even if you drive an electric car, what's it powered by? Where is the fuel source? Is it coming from natural gas generation? Is it coming from wind, solar? There's got to be some kind of battery backup to keep the grid system stable if you're using those technologies. And our grid system, just like our bridges that we saw in Baltimore, are very old. And the grid system has to be updated. So technology, AI, all those things are affecting us.
It's so interesting. And I think about, like, if we could time travel when people were not against coal or nuclear or hydroelectric. I mean, each one of those has tremendous impact, or potentially tremendous impact on the environment. But I just wonder, it would be interesting to do a simulation of what if we had not gotten rid of those sources and we continued to expand those? Where would we be?
That's a great thought. There are clients, we worked with teams of people that are doing that with the United Nations in England, and they're doing scenario estimates. So they're looking at what's going to happen if we adopt one technology over another. How will that affect the community, the world? But how would it affect this organization that's going to be driving it and leading it? So those kinds of scenarios are happening now. And it comes down to the questions we ask. And that's why I'm writing a new book about asking questions, because my other books that I wrote, I had 2 bestsellers, and they were around change, community change, and looking at flow and opportunities. The transformational growth is how you're thinking, and the flow value model, our whole thing about owning your value, that's changing. But it's the questions we're asking, because when we have technology like AI, you're exactly right. If we ask those scenarios, AI could give us some information and insight, and maybe we could keep changing the questions we're asking.
So how's your book structured? I mean, tell us a little bit about that. It sounds fascinating.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm doing 100 interviews with people, and thank you, Susan, for being one of those people that I interviewed. You were gracious enough to have an interview with me. And Rick, I hope you'll do one too, because I think you'd have a real different perspective than Susan and I. And I am looking at a demographic of people. I'm using my flow value model and my research model to make sure we have a really broad perspective of people, and giving input from age ranges to backgrounds to locations and where they live. So we're doing 100 conversations, and these conversations are such that it lets people look at, what questions are we asking and how is it changing? So that's the structure of the book. We're going to have these conversations and then gather the findings and talk about that. And my intention is for people to keep asking new questions.
Are they questions about business, or about our feelings about the future, or about ourselves, about our pets?
Well, they're broad questions, and I am talking to community leaders, to innovators, to inventors, to new thought leaders, and existing thought leaders. So the questions are, they're more organic, and it depends on the person. So I'm not, it's a qualitative methodology I'm using, and I'm not limiting myself to only 5 questions, which I've done in the past. So I'm opening up to, the first question I ask is, how are the questions you're asking changing in the last year? How have they changed? Because I think the pandemic fundamentally changed us as a species.
How so?
It changed the questions we ask. It changed our perspective. So many people I've talked to say that it fundamentally changed the workforce. I was just in a meeting and with an economic development leader, and he said the workforce has changed, that people used to go to jobs and stay at jobs and do things, even if they didn't like it at all, they do it. Well, now people aren't doing that anymore. They're saying, this isn't how I want to spend my life. If I need to work to make money for my family and for myself, to take care of myself and my community, is this how I want to spend my life? So I think it changed us. It gave us a lot of freedom, but it also let us take limitations off of what we thought we had to do.
Though it is interesting because right now there's a trend again. Companies are going, no, we don't want you remote anymore. You have to come back in, because it is harder to manage a remote force. It's even worse if the remote force isn't very motivated, which could be part of the issue. But it's cost companies billions to prepare for remote. Has it really been profitable for them? For some, for others, not so much. Some companies got rid of, for example, call centers. They started putting people either at home with all the issues that can bring, screaming kids, barking dogs, blah, blah, blah. And even though they try to keep it really clean, it's been hard for a lot of companies. And they still want to keep people. There's a big trend still to work off-site or remote. However, remote doesn't mean you can be anywhere. They want you remote near the office. We're seeing a lot of that coming up. They want you close to where you are. So if you do have to come in, you're close. Or they want you there 2 days a week or 3, and then you can be remote the other days. So there's all sorts of like you said, changes happening. I'm still not sure everybody really knows what the end result will be, but definitely it is changing. And then you've got the issue of digital nomads. I know a couple. They are literally nomads. They want to go all over the world and work for whatever they do, wherever they are. Many times they have one company they work for, and they just go country to country to country, touring, something that can be dangerous nowadays, and then still working for the same company. So it's, like you said, there's a lot of change happening, and where it's going to go, I don't know. Where do you think it's actually going to go?
I think that's a really good, you made some really good points, Rick. I mean, I don't know. I can only tell you my company, where we're going, and what I advise my clients to do. So the thing that I ask clients to do, and I ask us to do, is look at trends and do a trend analysis of your plans, and do, as Susan talked about, scenario modeling. What if, I'm a Girl Scout. I mean, I sold a lot of cookies. So as a kid, I actually teach Girl Scout troops now how to sell cookies. So, the point is that you've got to have a option A, B, and C. It's not one model, one way. The old school thinking, a lot of my clients had 20 and 30-year plans. Because you think about big utilities, or my clients. I mean, you bought equipment, you depreciated it for 20, 30 years. You did things the same way. And technology's changing so fast. We have so much information coming at us. And what we're doing is we're being more flexible, and we're looking at opportunities, and we're doing more planning, more shorter term planning. And we're doing the analysis and looking at what's happening with the demographics. And I think that's what everybody's going to need to do.
I see that too. But the thing that I see is that the life cycle of a new idea is shorter than ever. For example, a few years ago, like helium was really big. Everybody was going for helium. Then that was a flash in the pan. And then people will race to where there are big pots of government money, regardless of whether it's sustainable. So they think, well, I'll do this and I'll jump after it. And like, for example, there's orphan wells at $4.7 billion flowing out to the states over a 2-year period, or a little bit longer, maybe, depending on if it is renewed, to plug orphan wells. That created a huge land rush toward that, and that was good. I mean, but what people who got started at those businesses didn't really take into consideration is that after that program is over, is that really sustainable? So people are not really thinking about how to leverage their short-term opportunity with longer term.
Those are good points, Susan. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go. What do you think, Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, those are really good points. I feel like sustainability has to be part of our plan. It's got to be part of our strategy. And creating independence too.
And just to be a little snide for a moment, we know some companies that focused on sustainability, and they had sustainability departments. Guess what departments were closed when their business went kind of slow? The sustainability ones. It's sort of a weird juxtaposition of reality versus whatever. But sustainable, I think, is one of those words that's so overused because it depends. It just so depends on so many different things. Now, for example, energy. Yeah, that's a great place to talk about sustainability because it can be sustainable there. But some other things, can you make it sustainable? I don't know. Things change so quickly. Technology, for one, changes so quickly that right when you think you have it, there's a whole new technology out there. For example, this is something that happened several years ago. Actually, I think it happened last year. Most of the car rental companies will no longer rent electric vehicles. Not worth it. Too many problems, too many issues with clients. They run out of quote unquote gas. No gas, of course. But they've had so many issues that I think all the major ones said, no more, we're done. That was interesting. That a sustainable thing became unsustainable in one particular industry. Will we see more? Maybe, maybe not. But it is interesting where things are going or how they're going.
Well, I agree, but here's how I was thinking about sustainability, and I shouldn't have used that word. I guess I mean longevity or long-term viability of your business. So, for example, everybody's been all about Chat GPT, and then now domain or discipline-specific GPT. So, and those have been around for a long time in terms of like chat bots, but it's developing in such a way that it's more robust, and we all know how different it is now. So like somebody can get a lot of money, investor money, to develop a, say, kidney GPT. and so like, okay, once you've got that, what are you going to do with it? I mean, yes, you can get a lot of people who will sign up for it, but is there something that you can sell with it? Or do you have a medication or procedure or clinics or dialysis or something? I don't know. But something that will actually be generating revenue after the initial flush of like this innovation fervor has passed. So those are just
I agree, Susan.
kind of piggyback. So, but you do when you're strategically guiding companies, how do you help them to diversify?
Well, we did this recently with a Native American tribe. They were really had one revenue stream, and they wanted to have many revenue streams. And so we looked at different opportunities, and one of the hottest and most important revenue stream is the environment. And, looking at wildfires, looking at things in the Native American history, Native American tribes have always been aware of the environment. And there's a natural protection of the Great Spirit and Mother Earth. So I think if things are a fit, that makes a big difference. And so that's
Yeah.
part of what we ask clients to do, is to look at what fits with their brand, and do they need to change their brand? What fits with their identity and who they are and what they stand for. It goes back to your purpose. Why do you even have the business?
Well, that makes sense. So, Rick, how do you see? So we're talking about e-learning and training, etc. Do you see any big trends in that, and piggybacking with other things in a new way?
In the e-learning world?
Yes.
Gee, maybe. How's that for a strong maybe? E-learning is not the most innovative of fields when it comes to predicting future things. It's a tag-along field. They tend to follow what's happening and then train people in those arenas. So I don't know if the e-learning world, or even enterprise learning, is about figuring out what the new trends are or not, as much as how do you support it once those trends are defined and actually implemented, once they become operational. It's just the nature of the beast, I think. Same with IT. IT may be looking at forward in terms of operational, how much do we need to buy, how much equipment, how much electrical needs will we have, what kind of servers, what kind of farms or server farms will we need to supply future demands of our clients. Now, they can look ahead a little bit more, but again, they're still dependent on what trend are we following, what's happening. And how many times have we all followed trends and they go away? That was a big trend, gone.
Yeah.
It's so hard to predict in today's economy, or lack of economy sometimes, because, we're still a mess of an economy any way you look at it ever since COVID. During COVID, and it was still not great. We're still a big mess. A lot of people are unemployed still. I'm not talking about official numbers, but really real numbers, not the official ones. There's a mess out there in a lot of ways, but there's so many opportunities. Like Jackie was saying, all of this is breeding an opportunity. So what you do with it, that's what's going to determine, I guess, sustainability and where we go with it. Jackie, when you look for clients, or clients come to you, what is it that you provide, for example, to help them see the sustainable items, see where things are going, and try to make sense of it all?
Oh, thank you, Rick. Well, we always start with research, and who are the people that are connected to our clients? How are they affected? And I'll give you a hard example. We're working on this community benefits program right now, and we're looking at the population, and just like what you said, what is affecting that population and what are they known for? And the particular population that we're looking at is, it's got to be a reflection of the community. So you've got to talk to all of these stakeholders. And what I found is a lot of people leave out stakeholders that they may affect their business. They don't think about it. They think, well, they're not living right in our community. They're not particularly unemployed now, but we need to fix it. And how do we fix it? So they're not thinking long term. We're working on a project in a particular area where we're bringing in a battery storage unit. And what the county judge told us is that women were a very important population for him. And so he's a thought leader. We talked to him. And then we started thinking about, well, this project's going to be in this community for 20, 30 years. Where are those women? Well, they're in elementary school. And a lot of people don't think about talking to the elementary school, the girls, and getting them to do science. Because if you're going to be an environmental consultant, or if you're going to be an inventor, if you're going to work in electricity, you've got to appreciate science. And so that has been very well received. And so it's thinking about the implications. We call it the ripple effect, Rick. What's the ripple effect of your work that you do, like online learning? I mean, the work that you do with videos. What's the ripple effect of a good communication tool, and how many people will be affected by it?
Yeah, it just depends on, excuse me, the scope of a project. I'll give you an example. We've done training for people like the County of Los Angeles. We did a whole series originally for just the county health departments, probably about 40,000 employees. And it was all about customer service because they had horrible customer service. After we did the first two sets, well, we did one major training set for them. It was online learning, it was videos, and it was also stand-up training. And after the stand-up, we did about, I think there were about 50 or 75 train the trainers. It went so well for the county on the medical side of it, it impacted about 10 million people or more. That would be the County of Los Angeles, because a lot of people use their health services in a lot of different ways. Well, that then went countywide. Now you have 110, 20,000 people, and that went to every department. It just went really well. By the way, we called the program SMILE. Service means involvement, listening, and empathy. So the impact there was getting to the root cause of a community's problems. Communities are made of individuals. Individuals may not have money or have health issues, whether they be physical, mental, whatever. How do you make that better? And some of the people we interviewed, we had probably about 50 interviews in that project. One lady says, I am customer service. And we kind of went, okay. She goes, every morning I go out. She was in a clinic, a large one. It was in a poor area or poorer area. And she went out to the line that went a block and a half or more long. And she would give people bagels, candy bars, anything. Coffee, would you like some coffee? And she would serve people. This is a director. She would serve them. And she said the whole idea was to make them feel that we cared about them. It wasn't just you're here waiting in line and we don't care. No, we do care. We want to make your line waiting as good as it can be, considering there's so many people we have to service. And we don't have enough facilities, or they're always trying to build new, but that's a lot of money. So little things. And she ended the interview going, I am customer service. But the thing is, that's where you see the impacts. Some of the stuff we do, there's no impact. It just affects a small group of people doing specific operational things. And then every so often you get projects that can make a big difference. Those are fun. Those are rewarding. And they span either beyond a community, they could span to a country. We did another project for them that went to the prison system, something most people don't even think about. We didn't. And all of a sudden we had to do mental health for the jail system. Interesting. One thing I didn't know is the first time people usually get treatment for severe mental health problems is after they get arrested. Nobody's ever treated them in their whole life. Even though they've been thrown out of schools, they've had problems, they've been arrested umpteen times, nobody looked at it. Well, this was a federal thing, and they gave them money to make this training something that later went back to all the jail systems around the country. So these are things where it can make an impact, just like you're saying with power. Power makes an impact on everybody. No power, we're all in trouble.
That's right.
So it just really depends on the scope of that. And I'm sure that's part of what you're asking when you talk to people about projects. Is this something that affects just your clients? Is it their clients too? Is it the community? Is it beyond the community? And that makes it fascinating, because then you can see the real extent of how we as smaller companies or individuals can make an impact, where you may not have made an impact without these questions or projects ever being undertaken. So
that's a really good point. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to jump in, sorry to jump in, but it makes me think that when you're saying things, the questions force you to see things the way they are, not the way that they're designed to be. For example, in mental health, in the prisons, we have a de facto mental health system in the prisons because of the underfunded mental health.
Yeah.
And so that's the reality. Another reality is Texas. Whenever you talk to people, if they have a plan, especially if it has to do with infrastructure or serving a community, by the time they implement it, it's going to be teeny tiny and inadequate because the population is surging in Texas. So they have to think of supersizing everything.
Yep.
Good points.
Yep. Well, Jackie, we are almost out of time. Can you tell us about your new book, name of the book, if you can give it out yet, and when it's coming out?
Oh, thank you, Rick. We haven't settled on a name yet, so thank you for asking that question because it's going to encourage me to do that. But the book is about asking questions, and it's coming out this fall. So we've been working on it, and our intention is to finish those 100 interviews by the fall. So it really depends on our cadence on finishing the conversations that we're doing.
That's great. It's kind of fun writing a book, isn't it?
I love it. I love writing. Yeah, it's fun.
What was the first book you wrote, or one of the books you wrote where you said it was a bestseller?
Oh, it's probably over here. Transformational Growth was the first book I wrote, and we sold 5,000 in a week. And that was because our clients bought it. So that was real exciting. And the next one was Own Your Value. And that really focused on owning the value that you bring to the world and to your community and your company and your profession. And that book featured a lot of people from healthcare, energy, and Cisco from technology.
Wow.
And so it did well too. That book it did very well. We sold over 5,000 copies of that in the first week. That's always our intention. So we're setting our goal a little higher now.
That's good. No, that's good. And keep moving ahead. It's 5,000 is a good starting point, right? And then who knows where you'll go.
It is. It is. And it's just been rewarding just to see that it helps people. That's my intention, is to get our work out to people to help them. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, how it's helped them in their lives and in their community and with their families. And that's great. That's my reward. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Nice. And if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
My email is jackie@JackieLyles.com. And my site, they can learn about us, but probably on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great tool. It tells you it's current. It shows you what I'm posting, what we're working on. Okay. And I keep that very current.
That's great. Well, Jackie, again, a pleasure having you on, and we wish you, as always, the best.
Thank you, Rick. You are the consummate professional. You have a great voice, and you just are an incredible interviewer. And Susan, thank you.
Thanks.
You're so smart and sharp. You're always thinking of new ways of seeing things. So thank you all.
Thank you.
That's great. And we will see you all next week on eBizChat. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.